Good afternoon, I'm Greg Myers. I'm a master's student in sports and health science at American Military University, and today I want to present to you a clean tutorial, teaching a novice athlete how to conduct the Olympic clean. Our demonstrator is Jose Alvarez. He is an intermediate to advanced athlete with a lot of years of experience in conducting the Olympic lifts. So the first thing that I would like to start with is a demonstration of the actual clean itself. So Jose, if you could go ahead and do the clean. And there is the clean. You can go ahead and put the bar back down on the ground. And there is the clean in its totality. The clean consists of three different parts, commonly known as three pulls. So Jose, if you can get back on the barbell, please. And if you could go ahead and demonstrate the first pull, is taking the barbell up off the ground to the transition point that is at the mid-thighs. The second pull is when the hips shoot forward and the bar gains velocity going upwards, up to the mid-chest line. And then the third pull is the pull underneath the bar down into the front squat to complete the clean. Demonstrate it. It goes up there. So in the clean, and with those three pulls, they consist of three different movement patterns. The first pull is going to consist of a pulling motion of the hamstrings, the glutes, as well as the lats. The second pull is going to consist of a hinge movement where the power is generated by shooting the hips forward. And the third pull will be that transition underneath the bar going down into the front squat. Throughout this tutorial, what is going to be discussed is going to be a set of 3 sets of drills and then finish with 1 set of practicing the clean itself. The drills will be serial in nature, and they will all build upon each other, working from the first pull, going into the second pull, going into the third pull, utilizing that degrees of freedom theory where we're going to isolate portions of the movement and build on it as we continue throughout, in developing the efficiency in those general movement patterns that will contribute to the overall schema. And what this ultimately does is the serial building block nature will then transition into executing the clean in one practice session, so that way the athlete can understand how those individual movements that we'll do in these drills that are conducted in those 3 pulls, how they must all be conducted together with all three. All 3 must be effective in order to do a true, effective, and complete clean. So the idea is we take that serial approach, but we still do, even before we get mastery in those general movement patterns, we still conduct that full clean so we can use that parallel processing system of information so we can understand how one thing affects another. And for now, if we can go ahead, we'll transition over to this other barbell. We'll talk through some of the drills that we'll be utilizing in this tutorial to help a novice athlete learn how to conduct the clean. So the first drill that we're going to do is going to be the clean pull. This is where the athlete will go ahead and get on the bar, and he will conduct the first pull up to that transition point. The main thing, if you put the bar back on the ground, the main thing that we're looking for here as far as the knowledge of results in the form of external feedback is the athlete's feet leaving the ground, and it can be just as much as the heels coming off the ground, but the external feedback mechanism is going to be those heels hitting the ground. If the athlete can feel that motion of hitting back down on the ground again, he'll know that he has achieved triple extension in order to generate the proper power to do the clean. So Jose, if you could get back on and demonstrate again, and I ask the viewers to please pay special attention to his heels as they come up off the ground and then make contact. That'll be that, you can put the bar back down on the ground, thank you. That'll be the external feedback mechanism to let that athlete know that he has achieved that triple extension and he is able to generate the power needed to do that. And through a accumulation of repetitions here, what this will do is the athlete will be able to understand his proprioception. And proprioception is defined basically by the athlete or the human being able to understand their dynamic position in space. Through repetitions here, getting that external feedback from the ground, that athlete will then learn that general movement pattern of the pull and be able to develop internal feedback mechanisms to let them know that soon enough the athlete won't need the ground to be able to tell him if he's achieved triple extension. The athlete will know, and that will then be translated into knowledge of performance. The athlete will be able to internally correct themselves if they know their feet didn't hit the ground or they know they didn't generate enough power. That athlete will be able to internally be able to tell himself that he did not achieve that triple extension of extending the ankles, knees, and hips. The next drill that we're going to go into, and this follows with the degrees of freedom theory and the orders of release that we'll look to do. We'll still do that, a variation of that clean pull, but what we're going to focus on is the high pull. And so Jose is going to come off the ground, please. And then he's gonna pull that bar. He's gonna do that hinging motion. He's gonna bring that bar up to his chest. And what we're gonna be looking for, this needs to be in a little bit closer proximity to the rig here. And this rig will be that external feedback mechanism for the athlete as they're conducting this drill. So if you go ahead and do a good clean pull or a good high pull, you can see he's got a vertical bar path going straight up and down. That is the movement pattern that we're looking to get. Many times novice athletes, what they'll do is they'll make the mistake of bringing the bar out too far. If you can go ahead and demonstrate that. And as you can see with Jose, you can put the bar down, thank you. And you can see what happened there is Jose immediately received external feedback. He received a result, that knowledge of result that he did the movement incorrectly. Just like we were talking about in the clean pull with our first drill, in this second drill, through massive repetitions, the athlete will be able to develop their own proprioception. And what their errors in this phase are going to be come in the form of inches, but through more and more repetitions, and they develop that proprioception, those errors will reduce from inches down into centimeters. And as that proprioception develops, just like in that first drill, they'll be able to know if they're performing it correctly. Because what that proprioception will be able to do, it'll be able to tell that athlete their dynamic position in space in relation to the bar as they are conducting that portion of the movement. The third drill that we'll look to do here is the actual execution of the front squat. So if Jose, he'll go ahead and he'll clean it up to his shoulders, and we'll look to isolate this movement here, and we'll conduct the front squat. If you can do a good clean front squat, that's the general movement pattern that we're looking for here. One thing that we're looking for, we do this in close proximity to the rack, just like the high pull. A common error that a lot of novice athletes will make as they're doing the front squat is they'll catch the bar too far out in front of them and they'll come off balance. You can see as he hits it here, he gets out of position, and that is either going to result, again, that knowledge of result, that's going to result in either an ineffective or an incomplete clean. The other portion that the athlete will need to understand here as far as the knowledge of results and getting that external feedback will be whether they fall off balance going backwards or not. As you can see, Jose bailed on the lift right there as he was going backward. That result is an immediate external feedback mechanism that the lift was done incorrectly because he lost his balance and he fell too far backward. Just like in our first two drills, what we're looking to get here is to amass as many repetitions as possible and learn how to load that bar correctly, develop that proprioception to know whether they're on balance, off balance, and whether they're doing the movement correctly. And eventually the idea is as the athlete progresses and develops that proprioception, he'll be able to understand his balance more correctly and be able to correct himself through knowledge of performance. The athlete will know through amassing repetitions whether he is on balance, off balance, and he'll be able to correct himself throughout with that drill. And then finally, we'll conclude just coming back over to the barbell here on the main floor. And this will complete this notional training session that we've conducted here. What we'll look to do is just go ahead and execute. If we could just get the camera to move back out here to the front again a little bit, we'll execute a no kidding full clean to conclude our training session. So Jose is going to go ahead and execute that full clean. So what this training session, what we're looking to accomplish here, as we talked about, is through these drills, we're looking to amass repetitions. My recommendation in order to develop as much efficiency as you can in one training session is to do 5 sets of 10 with a very light weight in these drills. And I highly encourage athletes to have some sort of light resistance in there. A common tool a lot of individuals will use is a PVC pipe. When those athletes transition from that PVC pipe over to a actual barbell with resistance on it, they have to learn proprioception all over again. And it isn't just like starting from scratch, but it almost is, because they have to develop that appropriate proprioception in order to in order to establish that knowledge of performance to know whether they're doing it correctly. So for those 3 drills like we talked about, recommend doing 5 sets of 10 in one training session at a light weight, not to exert themselves, but with the focus on being master those general movement patterns. Like we talked about the pull, the hinge where we're generating the power, and then finishing with that front squat and completing the clean. And then that will be our serial building block approach into learning those general movement patterns that fit into the overall schema of conducting the clean itself. And when it comes to the clean itself, recommend low repetitions. 5 sets of 1, and so that way the athlete can understand how those drills, how those 3 pulls, and the proprioception they develop affect the overall execution of a true, effective, and complete clean. This concludes my video. Thank you.